as you can see, I have a filament problem. I have over 30 rolls of filament. So today we're gonna print a solution for all this filament. Let's go over to the laptop, find a solution to our filament problem. Let's go print something. Here's the shelf we're gonna be printing today, the Modular Filament Storage System by AWT Works. So let's go ahead and download it. We have the main version here. Filament rod, feet are optional, end cap optional. I wanna go with the full one though, so we're gonna go ahead and download that. And we're going to download the rod, and we'll go ahead and download the feet and the end cap. Load up our Elegoo slicer here, because we are going to do this on the Elegoo, since it is, we're going to put the Elegoo to work today, because this is just single color printing, and it's for shelving. So again, every printer has its purpose, and right now I'm using Bambu for another project. So let's go ahead and add the modular connector. Okay, it does fit. Looks like I'm going to be printing one of these at a time. That's okay though. Let's preview it because I want to do the modular connector. Do I want to do the feet also at the same time? Let's see if the feet, see what the feet look like. Because I'm going to do the modular connector in PETG. They didn't really use feet, did they? They're optional, I guess. We're just going to go ahead and print the brace. Let's delete that. Let's preview the print. 89.6 grams of filament. Actually, let's check something here also. I want to see strength here. They said 0.2 walls, 100% density, rectangular linear. I want to see something though, because they suggested printing it a certain way. Let's go here. Printing 15 to 20% infill, gyroid, or cubic. They said 15 to 20%. Was that? 15 to 20% infill, gyroid, or cubic. I don't see cubic here. I'm guessing cubic. Here we go. Gyroid or cubic. Let's go ahead and now preview our slice. 87.41 grams of filament, 2 hours. We can actually go ahead and send this over to the printer now. No, actually, I didn't want to do that. I need to change something. I forgot. Dealing with the Elegoo, I forget these types of things. We're not going to use PLA. We need to change this to PETG. It's not Elegoo, but it's fine. We'll preview the slice. It's going to be about 3 hours to print 88 grams of filament. Let's go ahead and upload this to the printer. And then we will go over and we'll swap out our filament. I'll show you what filament we're using. We'll swap that out and we'll prep the build plate so that we can make it sticky enough for the PETG. Right, here's the PETG we're using. It's going to be the Creality Black. We'll get this loaded up in the printer. I'm also going to prep the build plate here. So we'll grab the build plate out. I'm going to turn it to side A because we'll use side A. I don't really care about the textured marks. That doesn't... You know what? Yeah, the textured marks don't matter. And I know this will... I think it'll adhere better. Yeah, it'll adhere because this is PLA. This is for PETG. So we're going to use this side A. Let's glue it up and we'll get it in the printer. We'll get the... Creality loaded up in the printer, and then we will get our print going. We got our side A all glued up, and we've got our PETG getting loaded into the printer now. I'm gonna come down, I'm gonna set my dryer. I like to run the dryer at 55. It's a little bit hotter than I run the PLA, or 50 degrees, I'm sorry. I like to run it at 50 degrees C. And then we'll come down here and we'll set our time. We're going to be printing a few of these, so I'm going to set it for 9 hours. Get that drying. It is pretty dry out. That'll be fine. I'm going to flush this nozzle one more time. Completed. We're going to print our leg out, and let's print it. All right, we'll check back in about 3 hours, see how it looks. 2 hours, 57 minutes. We have our bracket here. Just remove it off the plate, clean that off, and let's start the next one. Print again. We're going to need a few of these because we're going to be making more than one. So I had already printed the other leg first earlier today. So here's the first full set. I'm going to continue printing a couple more of these until I run out of the black PETG, and then we'll move on to the other parts of this build. My printer learned a new trick. Well, I think it's a new trick. I believe normally when I would print, and if I ran out of filament, it would just keep printing. But now it's been giving me a reminder that I don't have filament. So I'm going to load up the new spool of PETG that I have into the print dryer. I'll hit confirm on this, and we'll see if it continues printing. All right, I hit confirm. Now it just brought me to the extruder to load. I'm guessing it needs to go through its loading cycle, which you guys have seen me load filament in this before, so I won't bore you with the details. I'll just keep a little bit of pressure on the filament over here on the side, and as soon as it grabs it, we'll see if we have our print up and going again. All right, let's go ahead and hit completed on that, and then let's go back to the home and hit resume or the play button. And hopefully, if everything went according to plan, all right, it looks like it's printing. I don't know if my printer learned a new trick or maybe I learned a new trick, but we are up and going again. We'll let it finish its print, about another 2 hours, 43 minutes left, and we'll see how it comes out. Since our Elegoo printer is printing out this module connector, we're going to go ahead and use the Bambu for our filament rods. Here's our filament rod. We are going to clone this, and we're going to make 14 of them. See if they'll fit on the plate. And it looks like they all fit on the plate. So we should have 15 filament rods. Perfect. 15 of them. Each individual shelf requires 3 rods. 2 on the bottom, 1 on the top in the back. We'll go ahead and we'll preview the print. Looks like it's going to be 308 grams of filament, 8 hours, 50 minutes of print time. Let's go over to our printer and I'll show you what filament we're going to be using for this print. So what we're going to be using for our filament rods is this clear PETG filament that I have. I don't have a lot of need for clear filament. I don't use it a lot. And being that these filament holders aren't really a decorative piece, they're just a useful item, I don't care too much about what the color is. That's why we're going to do this in clear PETG, because I just want to get rid of this filament. I mean, not maybe get rid of it, but I don't want to use the colors that I use regularly or anything like that for these dowels. Let me get this loaded up. We're going to go ahead and load it up on our spool holder here. Want to make sure that all our filament is removed here. Looks like it all is. I'll go ahead and load this clear PETG up on the spool holder, and then we'll set up our printer. Filament is pushed all the way into our print head. Let's go ahead and set up our filament here. We'll edit it. It is generic. It is PETG, and it doesn't really matter. I'm just gonna say it's white for the heck of it. There really isn't a clear option. Clear option. I cracked myself up. Okay, and then let's go ahead and load that bad boy up. While that's loading up, I want to go ahead and go over to the laptop, and we'll finish sending our print over to the printer. Back at the laptop, I want to make sure we're set up. Go ahead and preview the print. Let's print plate. I don't want these in red. I actually want them in PETG. So we're going to go external. The printer's still finishing flushing the nozzle of the old filament, which is fine. And I think I have just enough clear. It looks like I have just over 300 grams of this clear PETG. The last time I used this clear PETG, I printed some Christmas light holders for outside use. If I'll need those next year, I can always buy more PETG. I don't know if I'd buy clear again, I don't really have a use for clear PETG. And prints like these where it really doesn't matter, you know, if you're not displaying it, if it's just a useful print, like a filament holder where people aren't going to, you know, you're not going to show someone, hey, look at this filament holder I just printed out. I mean, you might, but, you know, because it's useful. But again, it's not like a, ooh, wow, that's really cool. It's a useful print. It has a use. It has a purpose. Therefore, like I said, I like to use filaments that I don't use or I want to kind of get rid of because, again, I have no use for this clear PETG filament. We'll go ahead and we're going to send this off to the printer. Okay, so I need to change this. It's saying because I have it set to PLA. It's actually PETG. Now, let's print the plate. Let's select our PETG, our external PETG. We'll send the print on over. And in 9 hours, we will check back on it and see how our filament rods turned out. Evidently, I thought I knew how to read the chart or the guide on the side of the filament, or it's wrong. But it says I didn't have enough filament. It said I ran out. My filament was just above this line, like a quarter of the way above it. And I had assumed that that was 300 grams. And then that above it would be like 325 to 330 grams. And this print said it only needed 308. So I thought I had just enough. I probably cut it too close. I need more filament. I printed these in clear. The problem is they're PETG, so I can't put PLA filament in here and continue printing because everything I read is that it doesn't stick because it's two different temperatures that you use to print. So I have this black PETG that we used for the ends of the shelving. So we're just going to throw this on here and finish the print with the black PETG. Hopefully this works fine. We'll find out. Here's our 15 of our dowel rod holders for our filament. Just finishing up, 99%. Just about done. It doesn't look bad using the black PETG over the top of the clear. I think that'll be fine. We'll check to see if it adhered to it good enough. I'm sure it did. All right, we'll check back on it when it's finishing. 8 hours, 50 minutes, 306 grams of filament. I was wrong, I was off by 2. We have our finished pieces for our filament holder. Get this off the build plate, go over, we'll assemble one of these so you can see what it looks like. Get it off the build plate real quick. Actually, these seem pretty stout, to be honest. They're not flimsy at all. They're pretty hard, solid plastic, to be honest with you guys. Now we have all of our holders. Here they are. Let's go over to the table and we'll assemble one of these filament holders and we'll see what it looks like. Here's all our pieces for one of the shelves. I put together the other ones. We've printed, I don't remember how many, but we printed quite a few of them. I'll get an exact count and put it somewhere on here. You have your sides, you have your rods. These are the optional pieces to print. These legs and then these end cap pieces, kind of a decorative piece right here. And I'm gonna put all these on this one. I didn't actually use the legs or the end cap pieces for my other shelves, but I wanted to show you guys what options you had when it came to these. Let's get started on putting this together. You're gonna need, for each shelf, you'll need three by 10 millimeter screws. You can also use 3 by 8 millimeter screws, but the 3 by 10s actually holds a little bit better. So 3 by 10 millimeters is what I'm using. Let's go ahead and put this one together, and I'll show you the different types of options too when it comes to these shelves. First, you're gonna take the hole right here, right there, and you're gonna match it up with the hole right here. There's a hole right inside there, the screw hole. You're gonna match that up there. And you use the first one because you're gonna either slide the decorative piece here, or you can slide another dowel in that side like that to connect shelves. And I'll show you what that looks like because I have one set up like that. So we'll run the screws into there. And then you'll put a dowel up here. Again, the hole facing in, match the holes with the holes. And I mean, I'm sure you could use glue on these. I just prefer the strength that screws offer. We'll go ahead and I match those up, and then I'll put screws in those 3 spots. You'll need a total of 6 screws, not using the decorative pieces. Using the decorative pieces, you'll add 6 more screws to that. So you'll have 12 that you'll use. And then adding the feet to 4 more screws on top of that. So if you use all these pieces with this setup the way I'm doing it right now, you're looking at 16 screws per shelf. And I bought these screws on Amazon. I bought, I think these are 100 of these 3. They're 100 of the 3 by 10 millimeter screws. I think they cost $8, not very expensive. So let me go ahead and get these 3 screws in, and then I'll show you the other side. Now that I got the 3 screws on this, there, and there, I slide this one on and then line up the screw holes, and I'll put 3 more screws on this one here. While I finish putting this together, why don't we go ahead and roll some awesome time-lapse shots. One of my employees at work, his name's Scott, he actually says that's his favorite part of the episodes. He says they're really cool. So let's go take a look at those time-lapse of these shelves being printed. We have our braces here assembled. So now we can put these little end decorative pieces. There's a hole. You're just gonna match this hole with this one right here. And then you'll just run a screw into all of these, just like so. And then it'll look just like that. So it gives it a nice clean look, basically. So let me get all the screws on this, and then we'll put the legs on. Real quick too, you could probably glue these in. There's no structural benefit to having these. So you could probably, if you didn't want to waste the screws on this, you could probably just, yeah, glue it in. But I'll go ahead and screw them in for the time being. All right, now the legs are simple. They just go like so. You just, there's a little notch there, line it up, and boom, you would just put them on like that. And that's how the legs look. I thought about using the legs for to stack another tower or another rack on top of this. I thought it'd be a little more sturdy. To me, it doesn't actually look that much sturdy. So I'm gonna actually go ahead and leave the legs off. I just wanted to show them to you. We're gonna leave these off though. Let me finish putting the decorative pieces together, and then I'll show you every option that these shelves kind of have. Here's all the racks assembled, and here's the options that we have when it comes to the filament racks. First one is a double. You could even keep adding on to this, you know, and have triple, or as far as you want to go. My shelves aren't wide enough to support more than this. So I do have a double one here. It goes in the back. That way I have this one that doesn't move. I don't need to move out of the way. It's fine like this. There's ones that these single ones sit in front of those. So the other thing you can do is you can stack them, because it has this slot right here and this slot here. And then you just match that up, and you can stack them on top of each other. And if you want to be ultra secure, you just run a screw down the top of these, right down there, and you can screw these together. That's another option. You can stack them as high as you want to. I wouldn't go more than 2 because it'd probably start getting unbalanced. I did all of these in PETG, including the dowels here. These rods are done in PETG. There's one that I did in PLA, complete PLA, including the dowels are done in PLA. I don't think there's going to be much issue with strength because again, we're talking about 6.6 pounds, I think. With all these now completed and assembled, how about my daughter goes over, shows you guys a before and after when it comes to our filament problem and our solution. Go ahead and take it away.
All right, print crew, here's our before and after.
Well, print crew, I say it's a pretty cool solution to our issue. Not every print is an exciting print. Some are just useful prints that you need from necessity or for organization. This is the latter. So a few thoughts on these racks. I do find them very versatile in the way that you can stack them, you can add on to them, everything like that. With the extras, I wouldn't print the legs. I would go ahead and forgo these. I find them to be more unstable than just sitting it flat on a table or on a surface. I do like the decorative pieces. I'd probably just glue those in though and save yourself from using the screw, unless you want a uniform look when you look inside there. Otherwise, you know, again, to me, it's not a big deal. I'll probably end up removing those screws and putting glue in there and holding those end pieces in. I do plan on though printing end pieces for the rest of the shelving unit. That brings this episode to an end. Hopefully you found some use out of these filament holders and maybe it's something you try printing at home. If there's any other useful filament solutions, put it down in the comments below. Make sure you smash that like and hit the subscribe, as this is the best way to help our little channel grow and thrive. So ABP, always be printing, and I'll catch you in the next one.